Hi everyone, here is an example of one of the apps that we have made using the services in. Now what this is, there are two buttons, print timestamp and stop service. Let's say I click on print timestamp. You see that there is this timestamp which has been printed here. I'll click on it again, 15, 16, 18. So what really is happening is since the time this app has launched itself, the time which has elapsed from that time is getting printed here. If I click on it again, it's been 29 seconds since this app has got launched. Now if I click on stop service, this will not work anymore. Now let me click again on print timestamp, and now the time is not changing, right? So this is a very small concept, but it can be turned into a bigger concept. You can make apps which can record time. You can have your own timekeepers through an Android app, right? So let us now go to Android Studio and see how do we make this happen. To make this app happen, we will be using Chronometer, which is basically a public class and it extends text view. It implements a simple timer, right? So what this Chronometer is all about is that you can use it as a simple timer. You have different methods or different ways how you can use it. For example, we will be using some methods from this. For you have public constructors, we will be using one of these constructors, probably this one, Chronometer with context in the input parameter. You can also have different methods here which we will be seeing as we use it. So now let us go to our Android Studio and see how can we use Chronometer to make this app happen. Now to start with, first I will create a class which will be handling my service. I'll call it bound class, bound service. And I will also extend this class from service. So now it tells me class bound service must either be declared abstract or implement abstract method on bind intent. I will do that and implement methods, right? So now let us see what this iBinder is. Seems like this class is service class is an abstract class and it wants me to implement this method, which is iBinder on bind. If you Google service Android, you will get the first link from Android developers and you will reach here. I just wanted to show you guys that whatever we have used till now, the service is here. You can see that it's an abstract class which I can use, but I will have to implement a method which Android Studio asked me to do. And that method was iBinder on bind, right? Now let us see what these iBinder and onBind is all about. Binder is basically a public class which is extending object and implementing iBinder, and this basically helps me to bind my service so that I can use it. As you can see here, iBinder is basically a public interface which is base interface for a remotable object, the core part of a lightweight remote procedure call mechanism designed by high performance when performing in process and cross process calls. Do not implement this interface directly, instead extend from binder, which we have already seen binder is basically a public class which is extending object and implementing iBinder. So now you can see that this iBinder is the same iBinder which we saw here, right? So now we need to do certain things for iBinder and binder. Let me first create a class which will be called my binder. This will be extending binder, and in this I will have my bound service. This returns the bound service context with this. As I've created the myBinder class, now I can go and also declare a variable which is iBinder, and this is basically an object mBinder, and this refers to this myBinder which I have declared here, right? Now as I have created mBinder variable, I also need to override binder method, which we have done here. So basically what is happening is the iBinder method is being overridden, which returns mBinder variable that I'm going to use here, right? So let me just delete this because this is repetition, and now we are in a better position to move forward. For log tag, this is a log that I've created. Let me define this log here. So here I have defined the log tag private static string log tag bound service. This log tags will help us to check when our application is made. It will help us to check if the application is made the right way or not. So we had discussed the chronometer also. Let us create an object for that also. And now I can use this object to use the chronometer feature in Android. We will be overriding the onCreate method, and inside the onCreate method we will introduce the object mChronometer, which we have declared here. And as you can see that we used the first constructor which used input parameter as this, and then we are setting the base for the clock elapsed real time, and then we eventually are starting it. So this line or this code line is the reason why the moment the app started, the chronometer started working, and the first time when you clicked on the print timestamp button, you had some time elapsed, right? So we have made the chronometer object. Now let us see what is to be done next. We will also use the onRebind method. We will be overriding it, and it is called when new clients have connected to the service after it had previously been notified that all had disconnected in its unbind intent. So let us go and override this method. For the sake of better understanding, we will put this method below the onBind method. After the onRebind, we will put onUnbind. These are methods that you are overriding. And after onUnbind, let us also have onDestroy. That is, when this service gets destroyed, then what is to be done? We are stopping the chronometer here by referring to its object here. Finally, I have created a method called as getTimestamp, which returns timestamp in the form of string. This basically is calculating elapsed millis is equal to system clock.elapsed time. This method, if you study this method, you will be able to understand that this basically calculates the time that has elapsed since last click, and it returns that same time which you see as timestamp, right? I'm sorry, not since the last click, but since the time the app has launched itself. Now that we have completed the bound service class, now let us come to main activity and see what needs to be done here. I will be declaring a couple of variables here. First is I will create a variable for bound service and another variable to find if the service is bound or not. I will be giving you the exact utility of this variable in some time. Inside the onCreate method, I will start handling the buttons which were there in the app. Like two buttons were there, so we'll have to handle two buttons, and there was one more text view that has to be handled. So before we make any layouts for this, because we've already seen the layout, we will not be making it right now. Just to save some time, I will just be doing a coding for this. So I have taken a text view and I'm going to name it timestamp text. This is showing in red right now because we have not really made the layout, but it is just a matter of time. So we have done but made another button. This will print the timestamp. And lastly, another button which will stop the service, right? Let me go to the layout and make these buttons so that we don't have any red marks there. To save us some time, I have already made this here. This is the button print timestamp, stop service, and the text view which you can see here. As you can see, the red marks are gone because now we have completed the layout. Now let us set on click listeners on these. Here, as you can see, that I have set an on click listener, and on click, the if m service bound, which is this variable, is found to be false, then this timestamp text will set the text which will be delivered by this service that we have created, right? And this is the same method which we have mentioned in our service class here in the end, right? So once this program gets over, you will be able to appreciate what exactly has happened here. There is this red mark which says it cannot resolve this because, okay, I have mistyped this and now this is fine, right? So now let us set the another click listener on the print timestamp button. As you can see that I will just have to make some more changes here. The stop service button is basically being set with an on click listener, and on click I'm going to check if m service bound is true, and if it is true, then I will unbind the service, and unbind service will basically get m service connection as an input parameter. Now let's see what is it that it is exactly doing. Outside the onCreate method in the main activity, but inside the main activity, we will create a service connection class with the object as m service connection, and we will implement the m service connection as you can see we did here, right? This gives class anonymous class derived from service connection must either be declared abstract or implement the abstract method on service connected. So we will implement it, and let's see what it says. So now we will also have to mention what needs to be done when the service is connected. So when the service gets connected, we will have the bound service class myBinder object of it, and this is getting typecasted in the service is here mBound service is equal to myBinder.getService. We will also have two more methods here which are onStart and onStop. We are overriding these methods. So these methods are basically firing the intent whenever this activity starts, and this intent is getting connected to bound service class which we have created here, and bind service method is being used wherein we pass the relevant context and input parameters. And on stop, if m service bound is found to be false, it is found to be true, then we unbind the service and make m service bound as false. Instead of the text reference that we took here, we will take the print timestamp button reference here, and rest all is fine. Now let us run this app, and then after we run the app, we will discuss this again. What exactly did we do? I'm sure you got some bit of an idea that what have we done here. We have created a service bound service class, and then we ran some methods around. Then we will discuss it further. How did it really work? Before we go and run the app, we will also have to make a small change in the manifest. Basically, we will have to inform the manifest that we have used a service which needs to be done, otherwise the app will not work.